crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I'm here with a card for Cat Scrappiness. I'm going to be featuring some of the new April products from Cat Scrappiness, but mixing them with some old favorites from Cat. I'm going to be using the new swatch stamp set, and when I looked at the stamp set, I was inspired by the shapes, and I thought about my collection of dies. I have wonky wavy heart dies and wonky wavy circle dies, as well as, Cat always has the squares, the rectangles, the ovals, and there were circles and hearts in the set. And I thought it might be a fun way to combine a bunch of different Distress Oxide colors to create a fun background. I originally was kind of inspired by the idea of bokeh or bouquet. I don't really know how you say that, but it's just those like little dots of light that you can achieve in photography. And it's just a very loose inspiration. Mostly, I just wanted to play with a fun color combination. So here I am using Distress Oxide ink in Shaded Lilac, Tattered Rose, and Cracked Pistachio. The Distress Oxide ink works pretty well for this technique because it has a combination of dye and pigment ink. I think if I were trying to do really similar stamping, like stamping really solid images with regular dye ink, I would be having some trouble. It just wouldn't give you really good coverage. The solid stamps and dye inks I just always have trouble with personally, and you usually need to use like a stamp positioner tool or a special mat, or just hold your stamp to the paper longer. There's all kinds of great tips out there. And for me, stamp positioning tools are kind of like always the foolproof thing. But when you're doing lots of stamping, like scattered stamping like this, putting it all in a stamp positioning tool just is kind of a pain. It would just take so much longer. So I'm using the Distress Oxide inks for their pigment properties to help out with that. Then I'm going to die cut it with the wonky circle. And you see there I already finished the heart one just because I was playing around with the idea to see if I liked it. I'm going to be using Ken Oliver Stick It and putting that on the back of this piece of black cardstock so that when I cut the sentiment, which is another new April product from Cat Scrappiness, it's the Hello Crafty Friend die. When I cut that out, it's already going to be sticky on the back. Ken Oliver Stick It paper is a little on the pricey side for sure, and so I resisted using it for a long time, but it just gives such good results that I've kind of broken down recently and realized I need to, stock up when it's on sale and things like that, because it really does help, and I know Kat has it available in her store. To coordinate with the stamping that I had done, I am going to make a Distress Oxide background with the same colors. So again, Tattered Rose, Shaded Lilac, and Cracked Pistachio. I did find that the Cracked Pistachio was probably a little bit brighter than the other two colors, and if I was going to choose again, I might not choose it, but I also think it's just the kind of the way it's coming off my camera. Like on my camera, it looks like this neon green color that it's just not in real life. But anyway, to get a lot of ink on there fast, you can see that I take my ink pad and put it directly onto my paper. And here I'm just using 110-pound Recollections cardstock. It's what I almost always use. I do find that they generally, Distress inks and Oxide inks blend really well on Bristol paper as well. But I was just using what I had and what I already had out kind of thing. So I just used regular cardstock, and by putting the pad directly to the paper, I'm able to cover it a lot quicker and then use my tool to go in and fill in the rest. Then I just spritzed it with my Distress spray bottle so that I would get kind of an interesting background. I just thought that the way that they were blended in the background looked a little flat until I added this interest. I think a shimmer spray would also look really pretty in the background if that's what you were going to do. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to finish off the card or who I was going to send it to, so sometimes I avoid glitter because it's not everyone's favorite. But I'm going to also cut out that background with the wonky wavy rectangle. Then, of course, I cut out the other image, the other stamping with my wonky wavy circle, and I am ready to peel up my sentiment and stick it down. I did make sure that my circle was hanging off the edge a little bit so that you could see a little bit of the background, although I did cover most of the Distress inking that I did. If you know what area you're going to cover, you could, I guess, use a little bit less ink and not be so wasteful. And you could then just not ink up the parts that you're going to cover. I had the same sentiment already die cut on my desk without stick-it adhesive behind it, which wound up being kind of helpful unintentionally because it allowed me to put the non-sticky my down to see how I could fit Crafty in there, because the dies are not attached, which to me is a really good thing. If the dies were attached, it would spell exactly one sentiment, and that would be less of a value in my opinion. So I'm really happy that Kat decided to make them separate sentiments. So I put down the non-sticky my to help me position everything to make sure that it would fit. It's a rather large die, but it fills up a card front nicely, and it allows you to do some fun technique sort of backgrounds and then finish it off with this great die here. I also use like a scissor or a craft pick to just kind of poke out all the little extras that are in between this scripty font. What I like about the Stick It is it does do a good job sticking it down, but you can still have a few, I want to say seconds, maybe a minute to work with it before you are really committed. And so I was able to pull up that friend when I stuck it down in a position that I didn't like and reposition it, but then when I press it down firmly, it will stick. Now, I eventually found the little dot for my eye, which I could not find for my other one. Those are always such a pain, but that is it for my card today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are interested in more crafting tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel and the Kat Scrappiness channel. This video will be on both, and so I'll leave you links to both in the video descriptions as well as to the products that I am using. Thank you so much for stopping by and commenting, and have an awesome day. Bye.